Admiral Krenthox of the Zephyrian Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship, the inevitable conquest, watching the small blue planet rotate lazily below. His four eyes gleamed with the satisfaction of a predator who had cornered particularly helpless prey. Earth, they called it. How quaint. How doomed. Status report, he barked, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had personally overseen the subjugation of 47 worlds. All invasion fleets in position, Admiral, replied his aide, a nervous creature named Blixner who had the unfortunate habit of sweating purple when stressed. The humans appear to be completely unaware of our presence. Krenthox allowed himself a rare smile, which on his Zephyrian face looked like a crack opening in a granite cliff. Excellent. Begin standard intimidation protocol. I want their governments begging for mercy within the hour. The massive Zephyrian war machines descended through Earth's atmosphere like metallic thunderclouds, their weapon systems charging with an ominous hum that had struck terror into the hearts of countless civilizations. This was the moment when primitive species typically realized they were outmatched, outgunned, and thoroughly conquered. Instead, the first response from Earth came through their primitive radio frequencies. A cheerful human voice crackled through the communication system. Hey there, big ships. Welcome to Earth. I'm Captain Jake Morrison, but everyone calls me Smiley. Mind if we ask what brings you folks to our neck of the galaxy? Krenthox stared at the communication console as if it had just insulted his mother. Did he just greet us? Blixner checked his instruments twice. Yes, Admiral, and he's requesting permission to come aboard for a meet and greet. A meet and greet? Krenthox repeated slowly, his brain struggling to process this unprecedented response. In his extensive experience, first contact usually involved screaming, panic, and immediate surrender negotiations, not party invitations. The human calling himself Smiley appeared on their view screen moments later, transmitted from what appeared to be some kind of flying metal box. He was grinning widely, showing an alarming number of white teeth. Something about that smile made Krenthox's scales itch uncomfortably. So Smiley continued conversationally, "Are you folks here for conquest, trade, or tourism? Because if it's tourism, I've got to tell you, you picked a great time. Spring's just starting, and the cherry blossoms in Washington are absolutely gorgeous this year." Krenthox found his voice. "We are the Zephyrian Empire. We have come to claim this world and all its resources. Surrender immediately or face annihilation." There was a pause. Then Smiley nodded thoughtfully. "Right, conquest then. Got it. Hey, quick question though. What's your fuel efficiency like on those big ships? They look pretty energy intensive." "What does that have to do with anything?" Krenthox sputtered. "Oh, just curious. We're always interested in propulsion technology. Mind sharing some specs? We love learning new things." The Admiral felt a migraine developing behind his second left eye. This was not how invasions were supposed to go. 3 hours into what should have been a straightforward planetary conquest, Admiral Krenthox was beginning to understand why the humans had never been contacted by the Galactic Council. They were clearly insane. "Admiral," Blixner reported, his purple sweat now forming small puddles on the deck, "the humans are requesting detailed schematics of our shield generators. They claim they want to help us optimize our power distribution." "Help us?" Krenthox's voice rose an octave. "They want to help their conquerors?" Dr. Emily Watson had somehow talked her way onto the bridge of the inevitable conquest and was currently examining a tactical display with the focused interest of a child in a candy store. She was a small human with wild hair and glasses that seemed to magnify her eyes to comical proportions. "Oh, this is fascinating," she said, pointing at their formation patterns. "You know, you could probably increase your firepower efficiency by about 30% if you adjusted your ships to a modified chevron formation instead of this standard grid pattern." Krenthox stared at her. "Why are you helping us invade your own planet more effectively?" Dr. Watson looked genuinely puzzled. Well, if you're going to do something, might as well do it right. Plus, I've never seen plasma cannons configured quite like this. The energy coupling is really innovative, though I think there might be some thermal buildup issues in the secondary conduits. Before Krenthox could respond, another human voice crackled over the communication system. This is Commander Rex Boulder speaking. Admiral Krenthox, sir. I've been analyzing your troop deployment patterns, and I've got to say, you're leaving some serious blind spots in your coverage. Rex Boulder appeared on screen, a mountain of a man with arms like tree trunks and a smile almost as unsettling as Smiley's. Now, I'm not trying to tell you your business, but if you moved your ground forces about 2 clicks southeast and established overlapping fields of fire, well, you'd have much better area denial. You want us to invade you more efficiently? Krenthox asked weakly. Well, sure, Rex boomed. If you're going to conquer Earth, you might as well do it properly. No point in a half-hearted invasion, right? Besides, your tactical doctrine is really interesting, very different from our approach. Dr. Watson nodded enthusiastically. Exactly. This is a wonderful learning opportunity. We've never had the chance to observe an actual interstellar invasion before. The logistics alone must be fascinating. Krenthox felt something that might have been panic beginning to creep up his spine. You do understand that we're here to subjugate your entire species, correct? Oh, absolutely, Dr. Watson said cheerfully. But that doesn't mean we can't make it educational for everyone involved. Rex Boulder chimed in from his screen, plus you folks seem pretty decent. Polite, professional, well-organized. If we're going to be conquered, at least it's by people who know what they're doing. Blixner leaned over to whisper in Krenthox's ear, Admiral, should we proceed with the intimidation bombardment? Krenthox looked at Dr. Watson, who was now sketching improvements to their weapons systems on a piece of paper, and at Rex Boulder, who was cheerfully explaining Earth's defensive weaknesses to their tactical officer. I'm not sure intimidation is the right word anymore, Krenthox muttered. By day 2 of what was rapidly becoming the most confusing military operation in Zephyrian history, Admiral Krenthox had deployed every psychological warfare tactic in the manual. The humans remained stubbornly, impossibly cheerful about their impending doom. Sir, Blixner reported, his purple perspiration now requiring regular mopping, the humans are hosting some kind of outdoor cooking event. They've invited our entire fleet to participate. Krenthox peered at the view screen, where hundreds of humans had gathered in parks and fields across the planet. Smoke rose from small cooking fires, and the aliens could detect complex chemical signatures that their sensors identified as delicious. Lieutenant Pennybright appeared on the communication channel, bouncing slightly with enthusiasm. She was young, energetic, and spoke with the kind of relentless optimism that could power a small city. Hi, Admiral Krenthox. It's such a beautiful day, and we thought, why not have a barbecue? We've got hamburgers, hot dogs, corn on the cob, and we made some vegetarian options too, just in case any of your crew have dietary restrictions. Do Zephyrians eat meat? We weren't sure about your biology, but we figured we'd ask. This is not how invasions work. Krenthox finally exploded. You're supposed to be cowering in fear, running in panic, begging for mercy. Penny looked genuinely concerned. Oh, are we doing this wrong? Sorry, this is our first alien invasion. We don't really have a protocol for it. Would you prefer if we screamed a little? I could probably manage some cowering if it would make you feel better. Doctor. Lenophon. Watson's voice joined the conversation from somewhere in the background, actually, Admiral. While you're here, could you settle a debate we're having? Your faster-than-light drive appears to use some kind of space-folding technology. But we can't figure out how you prevent temporal displacement during the fold transition. Rex Boulder's face filled another section of the screen. Yeah, and we were wondering about your artificial gravity systems too. Are you using rotating sections or some kind of field generator? Because our physicists are having heated arguments about it. Krenthox felt his sanity beginning to fray around the edges. "Why do you care about our technology?" "Because it's amazing," Penny exclaimed. "We've been dreaming about meeting aliens for decades, and here you are. This is like Christmas, first contact, and a science fair all rolled into one." Plus, Rex added, "If you're going to be running things around here, we'd like to understand how everything works." Got to stay informed, right? Lieutenant Penny had somehow convinced 3 of Krenthox's junior officers to beam down to the planet's surface, where they were currently learning something called cornhole and apparently enjoying themselves immensely. The sight of trained Zephyrian warriors laughing and high-fiving humans while tossing small bags at wooden boards was possibly the most surreal thing Krenthox had witnessed in his 3-century military career. "Admiral," his communications officer reported, "the humans are also requesting cultural exchange programs. They want to teach us Earth music, and they're asking if we have any traditional Zephyrian songs we'd like to share." Krenthox slumped in his command chair, which had been designed to project authority and intimidation but now felt more like a psychiatrist's couch. "Get me a direct line to High Command," he said wearily. "I need to report that Earth is under our control, but somehow we're the ones being conquered." It was during the formal surrender negotiations, held in what the humans called the United Nations building, that Admiral Krenthox finally understood the true horror of his situation. He had insisted on proper military protocol for once, bringing his full dress uniform and ceremonial weapons, determined to restore some dignity to this debacle of an invasion. Captain Jake Smiley Morrison sat across from him at a large conference table, still wearing that unsettling grin that had haunted Krenthox's dreams for the past week. But this time, something was different about the smile. It wasn't just friendly anymore. There was something calculating behind it, something that made Krenthox's blood run cold. "So, Admiral," Smiley said conversationally, "before we get to the formal surrender paperwork, we thought you might be interested in seeing what we've been working on during your visit." Dr. Watson entered the room carrying what appeared to be a small device that hummed with familiar energy signatures. "We hope you don't mind, but we took the liberty of making a few modifications to your shield generator design." Krenthox's 4 eyes focused on the device with growing horror. That's impossible. Our shield technology is classified at the highest levels. The theoretical principles alone would take your primitive scientists decades to understand." "Oh, we understood it fine," Dr. Watson said cheerfully. "Took us about 6 hours to work out the basic principles, another day to identify the inefficiencies. The real challenge was improving the energy matrix without compromising structural integrity." She activated the device. A shimmering blue field sprang up around her, but it wasn't the familiar purple of Zephyrian shield technology. This was something new, something that made their sensors scream warnings about energy levels that shouldn't be possible. "We increased efficiency by 47%, she continued, as casually as if she were discussing the weather. "Plus, we figured out how to make the shields adaptive. They automatically adjust to incoming energy types and frequencies." Rex Boulder appeared in the doorway carrying what looked like a weapon that definitely hadn't existed on Earth a week ago. "And while Emily was working on defense, I took a crack at your plasma rifle design. Hope you don't mind the modifications." The weapon in his hands was clearly based on Zephyrian technology, but it had been streamlined, refined, and improved in ways that made Krenthox's military engineers look like children playing with toys. Rex casually aimed it at a concrete wall and fired. The resulting beam didn't just punch through the wall, it somehow managed to do so while converting the concrete into a neat pile of useful construction materials. "We also added a matter conversion setting," Rex explained helpfully. "It seemed wasteful to just destroy things when you could recycle them instead." Krenthox's mouth fell open. "How long have you been working on these modifications?" Smiley's grin widened, and suddenly Krenthox understood why humans showed their teeth when they were happy. It wasn't actually happiness. It was a threat display. "Oh, we started about 10 minutes after you arrived," Smiley said. Dr. Watson here reverse-engineered your shield generators while she was giving you those helpful suggestions about your formation patterns. Rex figured out your weapons systems during that barbecue when your officers were playing cornhole. Lieutenant Bright has been mapping your computer networks while teaching your crew Earth games. The Admiral felt something cold settle in his stomach. You've been studying our technology this entire time. Studying, improving, and mass-producing, Smiley confirmed. We've been treating this whole invasion as a collaborative research project. Very educational for everyone involved. Dr. Watson held up a tablet displaying production figures. We've already equipped half our major cities with upgraded shield systems. The weapon modifications are being distributed to our military as we speak. But why? Krenthox whispered. Why help us invade you more effectively if you were planning this all along? Smiley's smile became positively predatory. Because the best way to understand your enemy is to help them reveal all their capabilities. You've been giving us a comprehensive demonstration of advanced Zephyrian military technology for an entire week. Plus, Rex added cheerfully, it was more fun this way. The demonstration that followed would be remembered in Zephyrian military academies as either the greatest tactical disaster in their empire's history or the most terrifying display of adaptive warfare ever recorded, depending on which side of the classroom you were sitting on. Dr. Watson led Admiral Krenthox and his increasingly nervous staff to a viewing platform overlooking what had once been an empty field in Kansas. Now it housed a sprawling complex of workshops, laboratories, and manufacturing facilities that had somehow been constructed in less than a week. We call it the Integration Center, she explained, gesturing at the bustling activity below. Once we understood the basic principles of your technology, scaling up production was really just a matter of applying human manufacturing techniques to Zephyrian designs. Hundreds of humans moved through the facility with the organized chaos of a species that had perfected mass production during something called the Industrial Revolution. They were building ships, weapons, and devices that looked like strange hybrids of human and Zephyrian technology. Rex Boulder pointed to a sleek vessel rising from one of the construction bays. That beauty there combines your faster-than-light drive with human fusion technology and our artificial intelligence systems. We managed to increase speed by 60% while cutting energy consumption in half. And that's not even the impressive part, Lieutenant Penny added, bouncing with her characteristic enthusiasm. Show them the networking capabilities, Emily. Dr. Watson tapped her tablet, and suddenly every device in the facility began communicating in perfect synchronization. Ships, weapons, shields, and sensors formed an integrated network that made the Zephyrian fleet's coordination look like children playing with walkie-talkies. We noticed your ships operate independently, Dr. Watson explained. Very robust, very reliable, but not very efficient. Human technology tends toward interconnection and shared processing power. A new voice joined the conversation as Captain Smiley approached the group. Admiral, meet Sarah, our new integrated AI system. A pleasant female voice spoke from speakers throughout the facility. Good afternoon, Admiral Krenthox. I've been analyzing Zephyrian tactical doctrine and comparing it to human military history. Your strategies are quite sound for traditional warfare, but you might want to consider some adaptations for asymmetric conflicts. Krenthox's voice came out as a strangled whisper. Your artificial intelligence is giving me military advice. Sarah's been very helpful, Rex said. She's already identified 17 major vulnerabilities in standard Zephyrian fleet formations and suggested counter-strategies for each one. Plus, Penny added brightly, she's been teaching us Zephyrian. We figured we should learn the language properly if we're going to be working together. The Admiral watched in growing horror as human-designed fighters began launching from the facility. They moved with impossible grace, their hybrid propulsion systems allowing maneuvers that defied everything he knew about space combat. Worse yet, they were clearly designed for mass production. What had taken the Zephyrian Empire decades to build, the humans were cranking out by the dozen. How many of these facilities do you have? Krenthox asked, dreading the answer. 17 fully operational, with 23 more coming online by the end of the week, Dr. Watson replied cheerfully. We've been sharing the designs with manufacturing centers worldwide. Amazing what you can accomplish when everyone works together. Smiley's grin had evolved beyond threatening into something approaching philosophical. You know what the funny thing is, Admiral? We actually are grateful for the invasion. You've given us the biggest technological leap in human history. We've gone from a single planet species to a spacefaring civilization in about 8 days. And in return, Rex added, cracking his knuckles, we're going to help you become better conquerors. Consider it a thank you gift. Krentox felt his legs give out. He slumped against the railing of the viewing platform as the full implications crashed over him like a tidal wave. You've turned us into your research and development department. Now you're getting it, Penny said encouragingly. Isn't collaboration wonderful? Admiral Krentox stood once again on the bridge of the inevitable conquest, but the ship no longer felt like his flagship. It felt more like a museum exhibit, a quaint reminder of how space warfare used to be conducted before humans got involved. Captain Smiley materialized on the view screen, but he was no longer calling from his primitive flying box. He was aboard a sleek vessel that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, its hull incorporating design elements that hurt to look at directly. Admiral, Smiley said, and his smile had evolved one final time into something that might almost be called friendly. We need to discuss the terms of your surrender. My surrender? Krentox laughed bitterly. To whom? You've conquered us without firing a shot. Oh, we prefer to think of it as aggressive cooperation, Lieutenant Penny's voice chimed in from somewhere off-screen. Much more positive that way. Dr. Watson appeared beside Smiley, holding yet another tablet full of incomprehensible data. We've prepared a comprehensive technology sharing agreement. Basically, we'll give you access to all our improvements to your designs, and in return, you'll help us explore the galaxy. Explore? Krentox repeated weakly. Rex Boulder's voice boomed from the speakers. That's right. Turns out there's a whole galaxy full of civilizations out there we haven't met yet. And thanks to you folks, we now have the technology to go say hello properly. The implications hit Krentox like a physical blow. You want to use us as tour guides for a galactic conquest. Not conquest, Smiley corrected gently. Cultural exchange. We prefer to think of it as making friends on a cosmic scale. And if they don't want to be friends, the smile on Smiley's face became positively radiant. Well, then we'll just have to be extra friendly until they change their minds. Krentox closed his eyes and tried to imagine explaining this to High Command. How do you tell the greatest military empire in the galaxy that they've been outconquered by a species that thinks warfare is a collaborative hobby? How do you report that you've accidentally turned a primitive planet into the most technologically advanced civilization in known space? There is one small condition, Dr. Watson added apologetically. We'll need you to update your star charts and provide detailed intelligence on galactic politics, military capabilities, economic systems, cultural practices, and technological development levels for all known civilizations. You want a complete strategic briefing on the entire galaxy, Krentox said flatly. For friendship purposes. Penny added helpfully. Krentox opened his eyes and looked at his crew, who were staring at him with the desperate hope of soldiers who wanted nothing more than to survive this disaster with their sanity intact. He thought about the 17 manufacturing facilities pumping out hybrid technology. He thought about the AI named Sarah, who had already identified ways to defeat every Zephyrian military doctrine. He thought about the human smile that had started all of this, the one that had seemed so harmless and had turned out to be the most dangerous weapon in the universe. I formally surrender the Zephyrian fleet to the forces of Earth, he announced, his voice carrying across both ships. And may whatever gods are listening have mercy on the galaxy. Excellent, Smiley exclaimed, clapping his hands together. Sarah's already plotting courses to 12 different star systems. We figure we can make first contact with at least half the Galactic Council by the end of the month." As Admiral Krenthok signed the surrender documents with hands that only trembled slightly, he realized that the moment he had seen that human smile, he should have turned his fleet around and fled to the far edge of the galaxy. The war hadn't been lost when the humans refused to be intimidated, or when they started improving Zephyrian technology, or even when they built an interstellar fleet in 8 days. The war had been lost the moment humanity realized that the universe was full of new friends they hadn't met yet, and they were absolutely determined to meet them all.